Welcome back to part 3 of the Dubstep glitch hop bassline bullshit. My name's Tom Cosm. Today we're going to be working on a bassline number 2. Now the first bassline we made in the last part, that was very complicated, took quite a long time. This one I'm going to take it back a notch, make it a bit more simpler. We're going to make a few fundamental kind of simple filling sounds that are good just to have randomly throughout your track. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a new MIDI track here. We're going to name this bass 2. And I'm going to load in an operator as usual. So I've double clicked that, it's loaded in the synthesizer, and we can just play that by default. Again, we've only got one oscillator up. We can actually turn the other 4 oscillators off just to save CPU. You don't have to do this, but this could have it. Let's have a listen. So there's our nice boring sine wave, nice and smooth. Nothing much happens. But for this one, I want to use a a saw. So I'm going to pick a saw wave from the drop-down menu. All good. Funnily enough, if we go over to the sine wave, you'll notice we've got this kind of middle panel here. We haven't really discussed what this is yet. Just to give you a quick idea, I'm just going to make it smaller. Now, if I click on sine wave, like so, and, hang on, where are we here? And play the sine wave, what's actually happening is, this is the series of harmonics. These are the overtones. These are the additional sounds that come over the top of the sine wave, and depending on the presence of these other harmonics, which are all mathematically related to this particular fundamental note, this is how the actual timbre of the sound happens, which includes generating squares and sine waves. For example, here's the fundamental. If I just play this, there's your fundamental. But if we add exactly double that, so we go up 1, so this is 1. If we go up an octave, this is the next harmonic. And then if we halve that and go up by half, we get the next one. And then if we go up by a third, then a fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, all the way up. And the more of these harmonics we have, we've got 64 of them. We've pretty much got a saw wave. So we just drop it off a bit. So it's kind of how it works, and depending on kind of the levels of all these, you can create a really interesting different sound. Remember, these are all sine waves, so if I was to, let me just reset this back to another sine wave and go back to 16. If I was to get rid of the fundamental and just play one of these harmonics, we just get a sine wave. But together, they start creating a particular sound, a particular timbre. Let's have a look in the spectrum of that. This is a really handy thing to know, just to keep in the back of your mind. It's good to see how it works. There's my fundamental right there. Let's bring in the first harmonic, second harmonic. You see how that series of a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller as the series gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You can see this, see how it's getting smaller. Cool stuff. So we'll get into that a bit more soon. But this is a really interesting thing to keep in mind. But anyway, if I just pick a saw like that, you'll notice that it's already filled all the gaps up for us. So let's just go that saw. There we go. There's all of our harmonics. So we're going to work with the saw today. Get rid of that spectrum. We don't need it. What key are we working in? Let me just double check. We're working in D. Alright. So I'm pushing the D key here. First thing I'm going to do is load up an EQ8. Let's just play around with some frequencies. So remember, this is bringing up frequencies at a particular range, and then we can use the gain knob here to bring them up and down, or we can move it around with the frequency knob, or we can change the Q, the resonance, to say how wide or how thin it is. We can also do interesting things in the EQ8 to do with the actual shape of the curve. For example, if I pick this one here, you'll see this is the particular shape that this bump is going to adhere to. But if I pick this one here, which will drop it off, it means I can use it as a high pass filter. But we're gonna stick with this for now. So let's just move this around. Some things I usually like doing is taking out the kind of the body. This is kind of the mid-range, and seeing what it sounds like if I bump the high up a bit. So it's really, this is the part that you need to kind of do a lot of work yourself and kind of figure out what sounds good. But I'm just going to keep it there for now. So that's with the body, that's without. We've still got the nice sub down, and we've still got the kind of the high end up here. Great. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to add a reverb here. So I've double clicked on my reverb over here in my live devices under my audio effects. So again, we were talking about the basic or the main three kind of parameters of a reverb. We've got our dry or wet. So again, this says how much of the signal is getting reverberated or how much reverb it's actually putting out. So if it's on 0, we've got nothing. Just going to take it up a few octaves so it's is our sound. If I bring the dry wet up to 50, see it's playing 50. It's playing the original sound plus the reverb sound, and it's playing exactly half each. If I bring it up to 100%, we're just going to hear the reverb. And again, this is a fun parameter to play with if you've got a long reverb. So if I bring the decay time up, this is how long the reverb lasts for. You can see this is in seconds. If I bring it up to, say, 10, you can do really fun kind of rhythmical stuff with this dry wet. We won't get into that this one. We'll do that in a few series. But and the other one, of course, is the size, just how big the reverb sounds, how big the room is, I guess. So if I bring this right down, I like using real short ones on bass lines like that. Kind of sounds like they're kind of reverberating off a window which is behind you or something. Cool, well I'm quite happy with that sound so far. Now one good housekeeping rule is let's right click on that reverb and group it into a rack. I remember in part 2 we discussed racks, so we've put it into this rack and it's in one particular chain. Now the reason I've done this is because I'm going to create another chain with a filter like so, and I'm going to bring this down. Remember we did this with the last one as well. I'm going to bring this low pass filter down, so this chain is only leading through the sub. Then on this chain I'm going to add in another filter and make sure this is only going to cut out the highs. Actually, I don't need to do that. I can get rid of that filter. Disregard that, because if you look on this reverb, we actually have a filter here for us. At the moment it's set to a high cut filter, so it's cutting out everything here. It's a high cut or a low pass if you want. I'm going to get rid of that, turn it into a low cut, and bring it up like this. So now anything that goes into this chain, which is the reverb, which we'll rename, is going to get cut. The lows are going to get cut, so it's not going to reverberate the subs, because that's going to cause some interesting weird kind of cancellation. We only want it to reverberate the high end. But this one, which is the sub, you see only the sub is coming through. So let's see how that sounds. We could probably bring this down a bit more. Excellent. Now the other quick thing to note in the reverb, which I like to use a lot, is this one called the pre-delay. This says how long it takes, or how long it's going to wait until the actual reverb kicks in. If I bring this right up, you'll be able to hear what I mean. If it's down here, reverb happens with the sound. If it's up here, it waits a little bit. I'll bring that down here. Alright, now the last thing I want to do in this particular bass sound is I want to have a filter to open that up. I want it to go wah, like that, womp, wub, dub dub, whatever. Now of course we've got a filter over here we can use if we want. We could add in an auto filter like we did with the last example. But actually no, let's go back. Let's use the filter on this particular synth. So this operator has a filter section. I have to turn it on. You can pick what type of filter you want here. There's all kinds of ones here. We've got highs, bands, notches. I'm going to just stick with this low 12 dB one. Here's our resonance. Yeah, it's quite cool. Resonance down though for this one. If we go over to the filter section, click on this button over here, you can actually see they give us a picture of the filter for us. But instead, okay, what we were doing before is we were using lines to automate it, or we were using an LFO to automate the modulation of this cutoff point. I'm going to use something different this time. I'm going to use something called envelopes. So an envelope, if we go over to this envelope section in the middle, an envelope is kind of a set of instructions that tell a parameter what to do over time, kind of like an LFO, but an LFO will repeat itself over and over, so it'll oscillate, it'll take a shape and it will repeat. An envelope will do something once and it'll stick to a line, and there's various different things, there's various parameters within this line, and the main ones are attack, decay, sustain, and release. So these are ADSR. These are the main type of envelopes. So first thing I have to do here is I'm just going to turn this envelope amount up. So this is saying I want this envelope. This is our shape. We can actually see a nice line of it here. I want this envelope to apply, and by default it's set to the filter frequency. I want this to apply now 100%. So if I hit a note now, see how this, because we've got a decay here of 600 milliseconds, it can take 600 milliseconds to go down to that point here, which is 471. If I bring the frequency right down to its lowest point, it's going to start as open as it can get and go down to as low as it can get over 600 milliseconds. If I bring the decay longer, if I bring it really long or really short. As well as decay, we've got attack. So if we think about attack, look what happens here. This actually opens it up before it cuts it down. And these are the only two we're going to focus on for this particular tutorial. We're not going to use sustain and release. They're not really applied in this sound. So by bringing that attack, I can also click here and drag if I want. I could bring the sustain up. I will talk about the sustain. I could bring the sustain up as high as I can to 100%. So that means it's not going to go down. If it's down, that decay will actually kick in. If it's up, there's no decay. Well, there is a decay, but it's still 100%. So I'm going to keep that sustain up there. One thing you'll also notice, we have a little blue dot here in between the attack and sustain point, and the sustain point and the decay point. We can actually click this and drag a curve, which is very nice. I like these little curves. They're very subtle, but they make a difference. So see, it kind of creeps in and then goes up suddenly. We can make it quite extreme. Or we can do it the opposite. Let's make it. Bring the resonance down a bit. I'm pretty happy with that sound. Let's put it in with the drums just to check that it's in time, because we're using milliseconds here for the decay, the decay point here. When we're using seconds, can't be too sure that it's in time. So I'm just going to mute this bass, this original bass, play the drums, and let's just put in a MIDI clip here. Again, Command Shift M, or we can go create MIDI clip. Open it up. We're using D, so let's chuck in a D. This is probably going to be too high. I'm just going to make a big long note. So that is too high. I'm selecting the note, holding on Shift, pushing down to go down an octave. Down another octave. That's pretty good. So what we could do is, I'm just going to repeat this over. Sorry, I just selected that MIDI clip and it did Command D. Or you can go Edit, Duplicate. If you're not familiar with the shortcuts yet, make sure it's selected before you do it, Tom. And don't select Delete, like so. So let's. I'm just going to open up this MIDI clip. Let's change that note to. We'll go up. Duplicate it. We're just going to go up a semitone. I don't know if this is going to sound any good, but should give us something to work with. And let's just duplicate those over. Now we can go into the synthesizer. I've just double clicked on that bass 2 track, and we can actually muck around the decay time and the attack time, specifically the attack time, to make it sound a little bit better. If we hold down the Command key, we can drag it in very small increments. Without it, it goes in quite hard increments. But if we hold down the Command, we can get thinner, and we can get really, really specific with it. Awesome. Starting to sound good. Speaking some random notes. I'm happy with that. That is our second bass sound. Really, I'm going to rack these together just so we have it all in a nice, easy to manage rack. By going right click and group. I've just selected all of them with the shift button, and of course what we should do is we should map a macro to the cool shit. The decay was a cool one, so let's map the decay to a macro. So now when we move this macro up and down, oh sorry, my bad, not the decay. That's twice I've done that in this video. The attack, we want to map the attack to the macro. This is how fast it goes, womp womp womp. Cool. Now I remember when I was moving around this frequency of this EQ, that sounded really good. So I clicked on that pole, clicked on frequency. Let's map it to that one. Pretty subtle. And what do we have over here? We had a reverb. So map mode. What we need to do first is we need to make sure that we map the reverb, the decay time, to a macro within the rack that's in. Then we can map that macro over here to a macro in the parent. Awesome, I'm happy with that. And let's call this guy Dr. Wub. Excellent. So that's part 3, bassline number 2. Join me in part 3, and we'll make another one. Cheers, TomCosm.com.